No NFL team is perfect. Each one has their own weaknesses that could potentially hinder their success. But what is every team's biggest weakness? In this video, I'm going to discuss what I think every NFL team's biggest weakness is heading into the 2025 season. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to take just a second and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Arizona Cardinals, wide receivers. The Cardinals have a pretty balanced roster overall, but their wide receiver room is definitely lacking. Their top three guys all had a combined 1,775 yards in 2024, just under 600 yards per guy. Their number one, Marvin Harrison, has a ton of potential, but still needs to prove he can reach his ceiling. And both Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch are solid role players, but aren't all that good. Overall, the Cardinals receiver room is definitely not ideal, but hopefully they can step it up in 2025. Atlanta Falcons, interior D-line. The Falcons addressed their pass rush by selecting two first-round edge rushers in Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., but their interior D-line is still not very good. Ruka Rororo played solid for the Falcons in his rookie season, but still is mostly unproven. And both Morgan Fox and David Onyemata are solid rotational players, but you don't really feel comfortable having them both as your starters. I worry that teams with good interior O-lines are going to bully this D-line, and they won't be able to provide support to their two rookie edge rushers. This could definitely hold the Falcons defense back. Baltimore Ravens, wide receivers. To be honest, the Ravens don't have any glaring weaknesses, but if I had to choose one, it would be their wide receivers. I don't actually think their wide receiver room is all that bad, but everything else on the team is so good that their wide receivers just happen to be their biggest weakness. Everyone on the depth chart is about one slot higher than they ideally would be. Zay Flowers is a great number 2, but I don't think he's good enough to be a number 1. Rashad Bateman is a great number 3, but I don't love him as a number 2. And at this stage in his career, DeAndre Hopkins would be a fantastic number 4, but I have questions if he can hold up as a number 3. It's not a bad room, but it isn't amazing. Buffalo Bills, offensive weapons. Despite winning MVP, Josh Allen really didn't have a ton to work with in 2024, and his offensive weapons haven't really changed from last year. James Cook is a good running back for sure, but he's definitely not elite and doesn't provide the same level of support that, say, Derrick Henry provides to Lamar Jackson. Their wide receiver room, like the Ravens, consists of guys that are probably one spot higher than they should be, and I don't think Dalton Kincaid is all that good of a tight end. Josh Allen really elevated this group, and I think he will be able to do it again, but I can't help but think that if Allen had a true number 1 receiver, that would allow them to get over the hump and reach the Super Bowl. Carolina Panthers, linebackers. The Panthers are definitely an improved team from last year, but they still have a lot of defensive problems, their biggest being their linebackers. Josie Jewell being their number 1 definitely isn't ideal, as he's incredibly average and has been dealing with injuries. Their number 2 is either going to be Christian Roseboom or Trevin Wallace, and that's not great either. The Panthers defense isn't very good, and their linebackers are a good reason why. Chicago Bears, pass rush. Montez Sweat is great. Everyone else, not so much. Grady Jarrett is old and slowing down, and Javon Dexter hasn't taken any steps as a pass rusher, and their other edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat, Dayo Odengbo, is not nearly good enough to be a number 2. The Bears are likely going to have a tough time getting to the quarterback, and that's going to hold back their entire defense. Cincinnati Bengals, the secondary. Pretty much every part of the Bengals defense is bad, but at least their D-line and linebackers have some star talent in Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson. But their secondary is definitely the worst part of that defense. Cam Taylor-Britt and DJ Turner are both extremely mediocre corners that shouldn't be a number 1 and number 2. And Dak still showed flashes last year, but got injured, and I think he's still kind of unproven at this stage of his career. Geno Stone and Jordan Battle are also not a good safety duo, and overall, this is a really bad secondary that offenses are going to exploit. Cleveland Browns, quarterback. When you have a quarterback competition between Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel, quarterback is going to be your biggest weakness. Whoever wins this job is going to be in the bottom 5 of starting quarterbacks, and that's just not a recipe for success. Maybe there's some potential with either Sanders or Gabriel, but right now, there's no question that quarterback is Cleveland's biggest weakness. Dallas Cowboys, running back. The Cowboys let Rico Dowdle walk into free agency, and now their running back room consists of Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jadon Blue. That might just be the worst running back room in the league. Williams has completely fallen off due to injuries, Sanders has completely fallen off after his big season with the Eagles and was horrible on the Panthers, and Blue is a 5th-round rookie who's explosive but overall isn't a good runner. I really don't know how the Cowboys are going to have a good run game this year, and their running backs are the biggest reason why. Denver Broncos, running back. back-to-back running backs here, but I do think the Broncos have more upside with their room than the Cowboys do. RG Harvey was taken 60th overall, and while I think that was a bit of a reach, I do think Harvey has potential and could become a capable starter. However, he is unproven and there is a chance he just flops. J.K. Dobbins is the next man up, and he's been good throughout his career, but has struggled to stay healthy. After that, it's typical backups like Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin. This room has potential, but right now, it's definitely the Broncos' biggest weakness. Detroit Lions, interior O-line. With Frank Ragnow retiring, the Lions suddenly have a pretty large weakness at interior O-line. Christian Mahogany is their starting left guard, and he played well into 75 snaps last season, but he's only played 75 snaps in his career and still needs to prove himself. Graham Glasgow is coming off probably the worst season of his career, and Tate Ratledge is a talented but unproven second-round rookie. I think the Lions' interior O-line could potentially be good, but at least in 2024, it could definitely hold this offense back a bit. Green Bay Packers, cornerbacks. Letting Jair Alexander go was probably the right move, but their cornerback room is very thin. Nate Hobbs is a solid slot corner, but probably shouldn't be a number 1, and Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon are better as a 3 and a 4, rather than a 2 and a 3. Plus, their depth is pretty lacking, Javon Bullard being really the only notable depth piece in that corner room. I don't see much upside with these players, and I really feel like offenses could pick this group apart. Houston Texans, the O-line. The Texans had one of the worst O-lines in the league in 2024, and that was with Laramie Tunsil. Without him, it might be even worse. Cam Robinson as left tackle is not good, because I think he's a really bad player, and the rest isn't good either. Laken Tomlinson might be the only solid starter. CJ Stroud is going to need to get rid of the ball quick, because this O-line is not going to be able to hold up. Indianapolis Colts, quarterback. Having a QB battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones is a great way to ensure that your team doesn't even sniff the playoffs. Richardson still has theoretical potential but can't stay healthy to save his life, and Daniel Jones, well, we all know what Daniel Jones is. I don't feel like I need to spend much time on this. Everyone knows how cooked the Colts are at quarterback. Andrew Luck is only 35 years old, just call him up at this point. Jacksonville Jaguars, the O-line. The Jags don't have a terrible O-line like the Texans do, but it's just so incredibly mediocre to the point where it's going to be just not good enough for the Jaguars offense to function at peak efficiency. Their tackle duo, Walker Little and Anton Harrison, have some potential, but right now they aren't amazing, and their interior, consisting of Ezra Cleveland, Robert Hainsey, and Patrick McCarry, isn't great either. The Jags have some nice talent on offense, but they aren't going to be able to distribute the ball effectively if their O-line is constantly giving out. Kansas City Chiefs, offensive tackles. I really like the Chiefs' interior overall, minus maybe Mike Caliendo, but their tackle duo of Jalen Moore and Jawan Taylor is not ideal in the slightest. Both have struggled as of late, and we saw what bad tackles can do to this Chiefs offense in the Super Bowl. I hope Josh Simmons gets some playing time because he has more upside, but right now, this tackle duo is not good. Las Vegas Raiders, the secondary. Letting Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Merritt go is probably a mistake because the Raiders' current secondary isn't looking too good. Their number 1 corner is probably Eric Stokes, who's a former first-round bust, and then you have third-round rookie Darian Porter and career backup Darnay Holmes. Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Pollamaugh form an okay safety duo, but it's not enough to save this secondary. This might just be the worst in the league, and if there's any reason why the Raiders defense struggles, this will be it. Los Angeles Chargers, interior D-line. It's not absolutely awful, but I don't think the Chargers' interior D-line is going to be able to hold up against most O-lines. Deshaun Hand has been a rotational piece his entire career, and is coming off a season where he put up an awful 4.7% pressure rate. Thierry Tart is probably the best piece there, he's a solid player, but Otto Agbania is not good, and is coming off a 5.3% pressure rate in 2024. Overall, this group is bad, and likely will get bullied throughout the season. Los Angeles Rams, linebackers. The Rams have an overall great team, but their linebacker room is not part of that greatness. Their number 1 is Troy Reader, who's missed time and when he's been on the field hasn't been good. Omar Speights played well in limited action last year, but is still entirely unproven. While it has some potential, the Rams linebackers could absolutely prevent this defense from being a top 10 unit. Miami Dolphins, secondary. Outside of Jalen Ramsey, who might be out the door soon, the Dolphins secondary really isn't good. Storm Duck and Kitiko, who aren't very good, and their safety duo of Efetu Melifonwu and Ashton Davis isn't great either. The fact that they didn't pay Javon Holland will always be astounding to me. I just don't see how the secondary will be able to compete with all the great groups of offensive weapons in the league. And if Jalen Ramsey leaves, then we're entering absolute abysmal territory. Minnesota Vikings, cornerbacks. Byron Murphy is a great corner coming off the best season of his career, but the other cornerbacks in this room have a lot to prove. Micaiah Blackman played well in his rookie season, but missed the entirety of his 2024 season with a torn ACL. And Isaiah Rodgers has played well when he's been on the field, but hasn't been on the field all that much. Plus, their depth isn't amazing. Jeff Jeff Okudah was a complete first-round bust, and Tavierre Thomas and Dwight McLaughlin aren't anything special right now. I think this room has a lot of potential, but as of right now, they are a weakness. New England Patriots, pass rush. The Patriots invested a lot of money into their defense this offseason, but I still think their pass rush isn't very good. Obviously, Milton Williams and Christian Barmore should be decent on the interior, but their edge rushers are just not good at getting after the quarterback. Their two top edge rushers, Harold Landry and Anthony Jennings, both had pressure rates of under 9% in 2024. I just don't see a world where the Patriots can consistently get to the quarterback, and that's going to hold back their entire defense. New Orleans Saints, quarterback. The Saints starting quarterback in 2025 is either going to be Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shough. Whichever one starts, they will be the worst starting quarterback in the league, unless the Browns start Dylan Gabriel, which likely isn't happening. Rattler has theoretical upside, but was really bad in his rookie season, and Shough was good in college, but is injury prone, unproven, and overall not a good NFL QB right now. The Saints are the worst team in the league, and their quarterback room is a big reason why. New York Giants, the O-line. Outside of Andrew Thomas, this O-line is not a pretty sight, and though Thomas absolutely helps us unit out, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. He's struggled to stay healthy in recent years. John Runyon, Greg Van Roten, and Jermaine Illumina are all mid to below average, and John Michael Schmitz has potential, but has really struggled so far in his career. This is not a good line overall, and if Andrew Thomas misses time again, they are going to fall apart. New York Jets, quarterback. I know there's still some Justin Fields truthers out there, and he's not the worst starter in the league, but he's still very far towards the bottom. Yeah, he played kind of good in Pittsburgh, but he still showed his below average pocket presence and processing ability. He's a first-rated run quarterback, and everyone knows it. I just don't see how Fields takes the Jets to the playoffs, and while getting rid of Aaron Rodgers was the right decision, they would likely be a better team with him at the helm. Philadelphia Eagles, Tyler Steen. If you've never heard of Tyler Steen before, that's okay. He's the Eagles' current starting right guard. The Eagles roster is so good that I had to pick one specific player as their biggest weakness, and that's Steen, who played 315 snaps for the Eagles last year and was below average. We'll see if he's good or not, but he really is the only question mark I have about the Eagles. Pittsburgh Steelers, the O-line. The Steelers have the most mediocre roster in the NFL, so it was hard to pick one specific weakness, but I ultimately decided on the O-line. Broderick Jones is an okay left tackle, but not a great one. Troy Fautanu is entirely unproven, and the interior is fine, with Zach Frazier probably being the best piece there. I don't think it will decimate this offense, but I do have questions if this O-line will be good enough to protect a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. San Francisco 49ers, interior D-line. The 49ers let Javon Hargrave walk, and their current interior D-line is not looking good. Kelvin Givens, Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, and TJ West could all start at some point, and right now that's not great. There is some theoretical upside with Collins and West, but I don't feel good about this group, and they could easily get manhandled throughout the entire season. Seattle Seahawks, interior O-line. The Seahawks addressed their O-line a bit by drafting Gray Zabel, and I love that pick, but the rest of their interior is pretty bad. Olu Oluwatimi and Anthony Bradford are guys that you probably don't want starting, and even though I like Zabel, he is still an unproven rookie. We all know how bad Sam Darnold deals with interior pressure, and this weak unit could absolutely crumble this offense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the D-line. Obviously, Vita Vea is good, but the rest of the D-line isn't all that great. Elijah Kancey is just alright, Logan Hall isn't just alright, and their two edge rushers, Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick, yeah, that's not a great duo. This isn't a great D-line, and could definitely hold this defense back. Tennessee Titans, wide receivers. When you draft a rookie quarterback, you want to give them some good receivers to throw to, but the Titans really didn't succeed at that. Calvin Ridley is a solid number 1, but would be probably much better as a number 2, and outside of him, they have Tyler Lockett and 3 rookies in Alec Ayomatter, Shamir Dike, and Xavier Restrepo that could all get playing time. That isn't a good group, and I'm worried that they aren't going to be able to provide enough support for Cam Ward. Washington Commanders, the D-line. The Commanders D-line isn't abysmal or anything, they still have Deron Payne who's good, but Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise isn't a great edge duo, and their other D-tackle, Giovanni Kinlaw, also isn't very good. Again, it likely won't hold this team back too much, but I would feel much more comfortable about the Commanders as NFC contenders if they had one more good piece in that room. But that's it. That is every NFL team's biggest weakness heading into the 2025 season. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, though, please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya.